Good Friday afternoon, guys. My name is Jerry Miller, and welcome to the I Love CVille Show. Thank you so much for joining us. Glorious day to be alive in Central Virginia. Any day above the mud is a reason to celebrate. I truly, truly believe that. Today's show is going to be awesome. Our friend Nancy Gill is going to join us in about 15 seconds. Nancy, the former mayor of Scottsville, maybe the best evangelist of the town of Scottsville, just an all-around A-plus person. We love Nancy Gill on this show. Judah Wickhauer is our fabulous director. He enjoys Fridays. This is his second favorite kind of Friday. His first favorite kind of Friday is Payday Friday. This is a Friday that's not payday, but it's still the last day of the work week, Judah, which I know you appreciate. Let's go to the studio camera, my friend, and let's welcome Nancy Gill to the show. And you know, I hype you by saying the former mayor of Scottsville, and it's true, but that introduction may not be accurate anymore. I'm going to say the star of the James Exchange.
There you go.
Nancy Gill. How are you, Nancy?
I'm doing really well. And you?
I'm doing well, thank you. We love catching up with you. Tell us about the new podcast and how it started.
Well, I've been thinking about doing it for probably 6 to 8 months.
Okay.
And I finally gave myself a deadline of the 4th of July.
Okay.
However, I came out before the 4th of July because we had the Bateau Festival, and that's right around the time. And I took advantage of that to introduce the 4th of July activities. So I came out a little before. I beat my deadline.
That's fantastic.
And I haven't done it since.
So tell us what the James Exchange is.
So basically, it's a mix of news and features and throwing in a few musings here and there. Musings.
Okay.
So I did a magazine in Goochland County for about 3 years with one of my friends.
Okay.
We never made money, but we had so much fun. And one of our sections was musings.
Okay.
And we would just do little tidbits. But the musings that I want to do on the podcast, I want to come from people.
Okay.
And I will just incorporate them in. Like one of my friends, listeners, yesterday told me that she was so impressed with the pre-4th of July that I did with Phyllis Johnson and Tim Carr because she knew both of them, but not personally. And it gave her a whole new perspective on what they do for the community and what they've done. So that was really good.
How do we find the James Exchange?
Well, right now, it's on Substack.com.
Okay.
So you can either go to my personal Facebook page, which is, I think, just Nancy Gill.
Gill, yeah.
And I'm getting ready to push it out on its own page. And then I'll put flyers around. So I really want to eventually encompass Southern Albemarle, the parts of Fluvanna and that are close to Scottsville and northern Buckingham.
Okay.
Because that's Scottsville's service area.
Okay.
And I'm getting there. I met with Maggie Snoddy yesterday, who is a big networker in Buckingham.
Okay.
She was just kind of walking down the street, and I pulled over and said, "Hey, Maggie, I started a podcast," and she did her Maggie thing. And so I have to send it to her, and she will cover Buckingham for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So your plan is to have almost like stringers or other reporters that have areas of expertise that contribute to the podcast.
Yes.
Where you would then interview them?
Yes.
That is brilliant. You should totally do that.
Yeah.
Can this turn into a 5-day-a-week podcast?
Not yet.
It's a lot of work, isn't it?
It's a lot of work. Even for the one that I did Monday, it was a 5-minute podcast, and I probably put 3 hours into it. Just thinking about everything and, all that stuff that you do.
We have a lot of, as you know, we do a fair amount of shows here, and a lot of folks are like, this is the best job. You get to talk to amazing people and stuff, and that part is fun. The behind-the-scenes stuff, though, is super tedious.
Yes.
A lot of folks don't realize it. It's a lot of editing. It's a lot of reading. Now, we're fortunate in that, you know Scottsville inside and out. And in Charlottesville, for me, I've been here 21 years, similar type of situation. So we may not have to do as much research, say, as most, because we know the people, we know the storylines, and we've been following it. But this is not just sit down, start talking when you're done talking, the podcast is done. It's actual work.
It's work.
Yeah. Go down that road.
Well, I actually, because it's basically sound with some written words, I have to write the introduction and then edit the audio. And when I say edit, I don't change what people are saying.
Right.
I might go in and do some things on the voice levels and take out any major pauses. But one thing I love about this is nothing is edited out.
That's
so
great.
People, like here,
Yeah.
people get the full explanation, so things aren't taken out of context.
Exactly.
And it's not just a, 20 to 30 second slot on the evening news?
Or like a 2-sentence quote in the newspaper.
Right.
People feel comfortable in settings like this because of the long-form content. They know what they say cannot be distorted because there's context.
Exactly.
And that keeps people coming back. And I think it's going to be the same for you. I think it's going to blow up. We see the news stations watching here. They're watching for news. We will get to the news here in a matter of moments. Before we do get to the news, what media covers Scottsville, Northern Buckingham, and the Fluvanna portion that is adjacent to the town of Scottsville?
Okay, there is a small local newspaper chain.
Okay.
So it used to be the Scottsville Monthly, which hasn't published right around the pandemic.
Okay.
There's the Buckingham Beacon. I don't know if they're doing anything. And then the Fluvanna Review.
Okay.
There's also, it's a smaller version of the Daily Progress, the Rural Virginian.
Okay.
Okay, but that paper might have some local news in it, but it's mostly a rehash of articles that have already appeared in the Daily Progress.
Okay.
So that's it. We used to have B.B. Williams' Scottsville Weekly, which was just kind of fun.
Uh-huh.
And other than that, we don't have anything. I mean, BB's no longer there either, so.
So you're filling a huge void here.
I hope to.
I think you are. Where should we begin? What's the first piece of news the TV stations and the print outlets should be hearing from you?
Cover Scottsville better.
Yeah, give Scottsville some love. Give Scottsville some love. How about the conversation you had with Matt Lawless, town manager, about the open container outdoor drinking area in the town of Scottsville?
Yeah, so I took advantage of that because there was so much misinformation out there regarding it. It's actually a state law that municipalities, nonprofits, businesses can actually apply. Well, they have a special events permit, which allows people to then purchase a drink from them. So we'll just use the tavern as an example. You go in on one of these 16 special events that are predetermined, and you can purchase a drink, but it has to be in a very specific container. That has to have
designated cup.
A designated cup that has the logo of the restaurant on it.
Okay.
You can only go back and purchase from them. And so it's not just come down, buy a drink whenever you want, and walk around Scottsville.
Okay.
It has to be a special event that has been permitted through ABC, and then that's how it works. So what the example Matt used is, say, when we have maybe people walking around Christmas caroling. So they go and they get a special drink, like a hot spiced wine or something, that they can walk around and sing songs, and then they can go back and get a second one. And also, the wonderful thing about this is the bartenders already know what they're doing. So, that part is a no-brainer. But it's not 24/7. You can have up to 16 special events a year.
See, so that's different than the one they're talking about potentially for Charlottesville downtown.
Well, I wonder if it's different there because it's more closed off to traffic.
Okay.
And I'm wondering, now as I'm talking this out, I need clarification on whether a restaurant can hold a special event and they get 16 special events.
Or is it
it's
just a municipality?
Exactly. So Matt, if you're listening, I'll be calling you later to clarify this.
There you go, Matt. So what is the likelihood of this happening?
I think now that we know it's a special event, we've actually done one at the Bateau Festival down on the riverfront.
Okay.
The town got the license, and we had Albemarle Cider Works and, of course, James River Brewery there.
And it went well?
It was a great Bateau Festival this year.
Yeah?
The food vendors didn't show up, but everybody had a blast.
Why? Food vendors didn't show up because
I don't know.
Huh.
That's not my worry anymore.
Sure. The Bateau Festival behind us. What'd you make of the tire plant story that was in the newspaper? We've been talking about the tire plant a few times on this show.
And the tire plant discussion goes back much further than people realize. You know, first it was all of the big trucks when the tire plant was in operation. You had these huge trucks almost hitting buildings trying to maneuver on and off Bird Street. So when it closed down, the residents were not upset. And it lost, I think we lost at that point 50 jobs. The more managerial ones were people that lived in and around Scottsville. I think the more people on the line they came mostly from Buckingham. So that left a void there, but everyone was happy because they no longer had the rumblings of machinery. They no longer had these big trucks. And now with the small town area plan, there's a plan that now will attract developers. And that was a goal, is to actually establish the parameters of what can go there. I know some folks are upset because that 20-acre lot, which actually was part of the original tire plant footprint, and Dr. Hurt actually subdivided that off when he purchased the property. And that's actually, it was light industrial. And he actually came to us, I think it was my first year as mayor, with this plan to put, 60 or 70 homes in there. And under the understanding that there was a little clause that they could have housing on the plant property. Well, what that was, you could have housing for a caretaker of the property. And so we said, you can't do that.
Yeah.
So we nixed that, and it really made, I think, the town think about what would work there. And Matt coming on board, you know, he's enthusiastic.
When did Matt start?
Matt started my first year.
Okay.
So he, right around 2016,
okay.
Toward the end, I think.
Okay.
And hiring him was a game changer for the town.
Yeah. Put that in perspective.
Well, all of a sudden we have a young, forward-thinking, ambitious and energetic young man.
Willing to work.
And I know he's working more than 40 hours a week.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
You know, I know this. But he seems to love the job. And when we hired him, it was like all of a sudden things started happening. And it's almost like because I was his direct supervisor the first, 2 or 3 years.
Because you were the mayor.
Yeah, and
Matt Wallace is the town manager.
Yes, and I had to say, whoa, Matt, slow down just a little bit. And he's like, okay. But he's really grown into the job. And I just think there's good things for him in his future, and he has done really good things for the town. Because he knows he has connections with the state, with the county, with the city, and he's using them. We just ask that when he goes out, he puts a good face on Scottsville, and he does.
That's fantastic. What are some tangible items of production that have been done under his watch?
Well, I don't know. He's done a lot of outreach through the economic development branch of things. I would say one of the best things he has done is really helped the town's relationship, the governmental structure of the town's relationship with that of the county. So, for instance, I don't know if there was ever a joint meeting of council and the supervisors, but that happened. And it was supposed to happen while I was still mayor, but we had a mix-up with schedules, and so Ron Smith got to do it. But Matt was instrumental on staying on top of that and creating very positive relationships with the different departments within the county governmental structure. Because in Scottsville, we're pretty basic.
No, you guys are straightforward.
Straightforward. He and Thomas Unsworth, who is the clerk, they were able to get a DMV select office in Scottsville, and they lobbied both Cray Deeds and Rob Bell. And, you have those two guys writing letters of recommendation, and it worked. So that's due to open mid-August.
So you're a popular lady. You have questions and comments coming in for you already. We got questions and comments tied to Tiger Fuel and the purchase of the shopping center, the revitalization plans they have for the shopping center, and then the car wash they're planning across the street from the shopping center. So that's going to come up. Kevin, before we get to Tiger Fuel, Kevin Higgins says, Nancy, what do you think is Raymond Thacker's legacy to Scottsville? That man is a legend, Kevin Higgins says.
His main legacy is the A. Raymond Thacker flood control system. And it's not just the levee, there's a whole retention pond, which we call Scottsville Lake, that water comes down through the Mink Creek and it stays there, because what people don't realize is that little creek is what flooded the town.
Right.
So the whole pump station protects the town from the creek, and the levee protects the town from the river.
Right.
So I would say, and he worked so hard to get that in place. He went to Richmond, he went to Washington. I mean, he was relentless.
Great. Brenda Johnson, welcome to the show. Grayson has this question for you. Was serving as mayor as rewarding as you make it sound on this show? And would you be mayor of Scottsville or run for mayor of Scottsville again?
Okay. The first part of the question, I had a blast being mayor.
She loved it.
I loved it.
She did.
And everybody thinks, oh, you put so much time in. Well, the first year I had to, okay? Like
anybody.
And
first year on the job.
Yes. Well, I had to see what was going on.
Yeah.
And so I was in the office to the dismay of the employees quite a bit.
Okay.
But, we worked through things. It was fun, and we were able to really accomplish, in my view, a lot of very positive things. Other people don't seem to think they're very positive, but I do. Will I serve as mayor again? No.
You're having too much fun.
I have moved on. I told, when asked how many terms, I said 2. I served 2.
Shauna Lynn. She says, I love Scottsville. She's watching you right now. Tiger Fuel and the impact Tiger Fuel could have on Scottsville.
Okay, Tiger Fuel, I believe the brothers Sutton. That's
Gordon
what I
and
call
Taylor,
them.
yeah.
Gordon and Taylor.
The brothers Sutton, I love that.
I believe they purchased the shopping center right before the pandemic hit.
This is the Food Line Shopping Center.
Yes,
okay.
Yes. I don't know what their plans are. I haven't really spoken with them lately.
Okay.
And they did want to put the car wash in a part of the parking lot there. And then they decided, they couldn't really build out the full menu of things they offer, so they purchased, across from the bank, the Coleman auctioneering property.
Right.
And that's where they're going to put the car wash, the market.
I think it's going to kill it there. Don't you think?
I think it's great.
Yeah.
And
those guys are local.
Yes. And they've also purchased another parcel that backs up to where they're putting the car wash. So, and I have no idea what they plan there, but they're forward-thinking fellows.
So you guys welcome? Does everyone welcome them?
Mostly.
Yeah. Why wouldn't they?
I know.
Yeah. Local family, great business,
And they
more jobs,
and
more
they-
revenue.
Yeah, and they participate in the
Right.
community.
Yeah. They live here.
Yes. So
I think it's a no-brainer.
yeah, someone likened it when there was a public hearing on this with the Planning Commission. Someone likened them to an international company coming.
No,
in.
yeah.
Yes, and I'm there
Did you just
scratching my
laugh?
head. I was like, "What's Food Lion?
I know, God.
What's the Dollar
It's
General?"
way bigger than Tiger.
Yeah,
Fuel.
and I think it's a Dutch company now. I could be wrong on that, but I just anyway.
Philip Dow says, love Nancy Gill.
Hey, Fish.
She was and is the greatest. That's from Philip Dow. So more follow-up questions on Tiger. What do you think the impact is going to be of Tiger in Scottsville, and how's it going to play out? That's from Tommy.
I just think it's positive. Again, we just mentioned the increase, the potential for more employment. They're going to take the shopping center very seriously. And I know that they will go out and in their own economic development plan for what they do, they will bring in businesses that are sustainable.
Right.
And they also are putting solar panels on the canopy. I mean, that's pretty cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And are they revitalizing the shopping center?
I think they have plans for it. I truly don't know what their plans are.
Okay. That was another question that was coming in on the show. Well, how about this question? Matt Lawless, this is a good one for Matt. Does your guest think that Matt is the town manager long-term for Scottsville?
I think Matt is having a good time in Scottsville. I don't know. I'm hoping he stays for at least 10 years. I don't know. I keep telling him, you have to think about, where you're living. And do you want to move to a bigger place that has bigger problems and more cars? It's a quality of life that we have in Scottsville that
Second to none.
Yes. Yeah.
Becky Dearden is watching right now in the United Kingdom.
Hi, Becky.
So she's in the UK watching you here in Charlottesville. She says, love and miss Scottsville, my second home and family from across the pond. You literally have all the news outlets in Central Virginia, at least the Charlottesville ones, watching you on the show. So let's go musings and rapid fire. Musings from the James Exchange. Get some news out there, and I'll respond to you.
Okay, so you
Yeah.
sort of say something.
Sure, yeah. I will adapt to what you're saying with questions. So you're now the host of the show.
I'm now the host
Yeah.
of the show. Well, welcome to
Yeah.
the James Exchange,
James Exchange.
podcast.
Yeah.
I cannot take credit for the name. If my friend Julie is watching this,
Julie, if you're watching, let us know.
she came up with 3 names, and that one just jumped out at me. And it just works because it goes right down the James River, it takes in Buckingham, Fluvanna.
Oh, that name is
and
perfect.
It's
perfect.
and it's expandable for other things.
Yeah, it is expandable for other
Yes.
things. So you have ideas already for other
I am never at a loss for ideas.
ideas.
And that's why when someone takes one of my ideas, I don't care because I have more.
You have more. That's great. She's the rainmaker, the idea maker. So news. What news should be out there?
Oh, the news, as far as newsy things go, it would be everything tied around the tire plant development. And that's huge for Scottsville. What the brothers Sutton are doing, I think, is even huger
Yeah,
for Scottsville.
Me too.
And people don't understand that we need density. We don't need 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people, but when I first came on board in 2006, the comprehensive plan called for an increase in our population to 1,000.
Okay,
From 500.
Okay.
We're up to 600.
Okay.
But I don't think they took it seriously. And so now, to me, the news coming out is that things are moving forward to the dismay of some people. But this has been 20 years in the making. This is not something that happened overnight.
Yeah. I mean, this has been in the making since I've been here, 2000. Do we think the density is going to happen quickly, what seems to be happening from my standpoint, and you're the expert, that's why I'm asking, is Charlottesville and Albemarle County, Charlottesville and portions of Albemarle County are so obscenely expensive now that Scottsville is being seriously considered by people who maybe 10 years ago would never have ever considered Scottsville, because you have housing in Albemarle County that is still somewhat affordable.
Mm-hmm.
So the question I have for you is, two-part question. Do you agree that the affordability issues in Charlottesville and portions of Albemarle could be tailwinds or momentum behind Scottsville? And then the second question is, how is Scottsville going to respond to that momentum of people more than ever looking at Scottsville and the surrounding area for a place to live?
Yes, I do think that the pricing in Albemarle and Charlottesville it's already been proven that people are coming to Scottsville. One of the houses sold in 4 days, and it came from someone who was going to look at Charlottesville. They came to Scottsville, fell in love with this house.
Where was it?
It's on Harrison Street.
Okay.
And, it's...
What's kind of price tag? What are you getting price tag and specs-wise?
I would say that house, I think, went for about $500,000.
Okay.
There's one across the street that people don't understand. They think the price is too high on it, but the work that had to go into it justifies the price.
Is that the one next to the brewery?
No, that's where
that's for
Barefoot
sale.
was. Yeah, that's where Barefoot Country Store was. This is residential.
Okay.
You can see it from the brewery.
Okay.
But it's a nice, the property kind of goes like this in the back, but it has decks, it has porches, it has a sunroom, and the house the foundation is fixed, so it's, the right person sees it, and they'll understand the price tag on it, because you go down the street, there's a house on the market for $190,000, but it needs a lot of work. So you want one
It's finished.
walk-in ready, or you want to do a whole lot of work.
Right.
So and they're on the same street, so that could have an issue with the other one selling. But what I'm seeing, $250 to $300 seems to be the price point for the average home sale in Scottsville. And we've had a few that have sold below that.
$250 to $300 is way lower than the
Right.
city of Charlottesville and most of Albemarle County.
Well, and people call that affordable housing. I'm like, that's affordable housing?
Well, for this area.
Yeah, for this area. I'm hoping that there are plans in the works where we can have a mix of housing. Whether it's, we can't have townhouses, but we can have, say, I think...
Why can't you have townhouses?
It's because of our zoning.
In the town?
In the town, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, but you can have, I believe you can have 4 units, but you have to have 2 doors in the front, 2 doors in the back, so it'd be like a block.
So you can have a quad.
Yes, you can do that. I have a 1/4 acre lot that I could put 2 units on. I'm not going to, but it's village residential, so my understanding is that you can do, by right, a 2-unit.
So you could put a cottage in the backyard.
Yes.
Okay.
Other than that, I'm just waiting to see what is going to happen now that the town has rezoned that upper part to village residential, and also what the brothers Sutton have in mind for the extra lot they purchased.
Philip says, don't forget about the Van Cliff nature area. That was a big part of this, and this was great for Scottsville.
Yes, so the Van Cleef Nature Area was donated by the Van Cleefs back, I believe, in the 70s, so that the whole flood control system could be built. And it's now, again, it has a 5 or 6 acre lake, Lake Scottsville, which has trout and I think catfish in it now. But we've been, over the past 10 years, Dan Gritzko has been so dedicated to getting more trails on it and opening it up to the public. And before, it was like if you had keys to the kingdom, you got keys to the gate. Well, now everybody can just walk there. It's and it's right in the center of town. So.
Michelle Scheid, she says, you would think a small town would take any building opportunity available.
I agree.
Yeah, that's kind of what she's alluding to. She's alluding to that. She's very much pro housing and pro density, done strategically.
Yeah. And
you're not opposed to change.
It's the only constant we have.
Yeah, it's the only constant we have. Change, death, and taxes.
That's right.
That's right. Nikki Chambliss, welcome to the show as well. So you said we need more density. Is that going to happen first by creating more housing stock, or is it the people coming to Scottsville will force the housing stock to happen?
I think you have to have the need and desire before you can build these days.
Okay.
I think you have to be practical about that.
You're saying you have to have demand first.
I think you do.
We can say there's demand, right?
There is demand.
Yeah.
We just don't know what that demand is.
Right. So what do you mean by that? You don't know
what we don't know,
the customer wants.
Right. We sort of know what works for certain price breaks.
Uh-huh.
But, it would be probably fruitless for a developer to come in and put in, all of a sudden, 20 units of something. I think it has to be incremental where you build, they have to sell. And so it's kind of a balancing act.
Steve Harvey, friend of the show, Steve Harvey, who ran for Board of Supervisors in the Whitehall District, is running against Steve Harvey. He says, so the cost of that commute, the road itself largely, is roughly $100K over 7 years. Expensive Scottsville tax is what Steve says. Give us more clarity on that, Steve. If you could give us a little more clarity on that comment. This is coming up from Grayson. Our family looked at Scottsville. The only tough aspect for us and why we did not end up moving is because of 20 in the commute to and from Charlottesville. The idea would be to create enough jobs there where folks would not have to make the commute to Charlottesville.
Yes.
Is that your thinking?
That's my thinking, and with the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's been proven that people can work at home and telecommute. Scottsville has fiber.
You hear that, guys? Scottsville has fiber.
So I think these live-work residences are perfect, where you have the office already there fitted with whatever the home buyer needs. They get to live upstairs.
Man, if you were able to get the tire plant into like micro studio apartments, where they were like 500 to 800 square feet, and then you targeted like millennials and younger, and you had fiber there, you had a share work environment, kind of like a WeWork, a coffee shop in there, maybe like a bar and a restaurant in there, that would be gangbusters.
Yeah.
That would go fire. So more comments come in. You're a popular lady. Jack Ferguson Maxwell says hello and has given you some props. This is coming in from Nikki Chambliss. Jeanette's old house, best house to see the 4th of July parade, and my old neighbor. Nikki Chambliss responding to one of your comments. Kevin says Buckingham County land is cheap and most of it is loaded with pine to harvest. Scottsville should buy land there, sell the timber, and own the land. The timber sale would cover the land purchase in many cases. I see a great opportunity in Scottsville. What do you think of that idea?
Well, the town does own, I think, about 30 acres in Buckingham, and it had really mature hardwoods on it. So they harvested that before I came on board, probably around 2002, 2003, and now it's pines. So... But yeah, that's actually a good idea.
Here's another good idea that's come in, and this is from Anna Collins. She said, could the town of Scottsville buy the tire plant from Dr. Hurt?
I don't know. There has been discussion about, why doesn't he just donate it to the town and then let the town develop it out?
Yeah.
It was a plan that was done by a company that really looked at what it would take to turn the tire plant into something of significance. And it was
All right,
splitting
she's
it
about
up.
to make some news here. You got the TV stations and the printout.
It's
Let's
like
watching you.
splitting it up, and the cost of getting it to where it has to be is like $20 million. So if anybody wants more detail on this, call Matt Lawless at the town office.
Oh, there you go.
Or go to the Planning Commission page on the website, because the report is there.
So Steve, thank you, Steve, for that clarity. Steve Harvey is watching the show. He says the cost of homes in the area is so much lower in Scottsville because citizens would rather pay $100,000 more to not make that specific 30-minute drive to town. Sorry, not the easiest concept to convey over Facebook message. Low. So he's basically saying people will pay more to live in Charlottesville or Albemarle Urban Ring to not make that drive on 20. And, you know, I can understand that. 20 is not the easiest road.
Right, but once you drive it, for
Well,
a year,
you
it's
know it
really,
inside and out.
I think it's fun to drive.
How do you get to downtown Charlottesville? What route do you take?
Well, it depends on where I'm going.
Okay.
So if I'm coming here, I will go 20 into town.
Okay.
But if I'm going to, say, 29, I will jump off onto Red Hill
Okay. Yeah.
and to 29.
Yeah.
And that is a fun...
So you go Red Hill to North Garden and backdoor at 29?
Yes.
Or you're passing like Dr. Hose and Pippin Hill?
No, I go further up. So Red Hill Road is past Keene.
Okay. Gotcha.
The Plank Road is, you pick it up right there at Keene. So, but Red Hill's just fun to drive.
Red Hill is a fun road.
It
Yeah.
is. The only drawback, or you come
As
around
if
a
you get
corner,
behind a slow car.
or a bicyclist.
Yeah. Then that road can turn into a rather long ride.
A very long ride.
Yes. Which you told me about that the other day.
Yes.
You got stuck behind a slow car?
No, I got behind. There were 3 cyclists.
And they didn't let you pass?
2 of them did.
Okay.
And the other one just stayed in the middle of my lane. And the irony is there was a Scottsville policeman behind me.
Oh, that's so funny.
And he was just waiting to pull over that cyclist, because she also didn't stop when she was
Did the
supposed
Scottsville
to.
police officer pull over the cyclist?
No.
Okay.
But,
Could the Scottsville police officer ticket there?
well, what they can do is they have to call it into the county.
Okay.
So the county knows.
Okay.
So we had an incident on Route 6 with police chief. But he called it in, everything was done right, and so long as the county knows it's going on, yes.
So Scottsville police can police in Albemarle as long as they call ahead.
Or if they're requested.
Oh, understood.
So if Albemarle requests them, yes. And Albemarle's down in Scottsville quite a bit, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Michelle says, is Barefoot coming back? That was a very unique spot. That was a notable, wonderful place in Scottsville. And then she says, Route 20 is like playing the game Mario Kart. That's from Michelle.
No, unfortunately, Barefoot will not be coming back.
That's a bummer.
That was
awesome.
It was awesome.
Why? Is it just not enough customers?
No, they were doing extremely well. They closed because of personal reasons.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. That place was very eclectic.
And they had the ice cream shack in the back.
Yeah. Please speak to healthcare, as I'm sure you will. Nancy, thanks for keeping Scottsville on the radar. That's from Ruth Ann, and she wants you to bring up healthcare in Scottsville.
So Ruth Ann knows about HERE, which is the Health, Equity, and Access in Rural Regions.
Okay.
It's something that we started looking at in October of 17.
Okay.
And we have moved forward with it. We're still being governed by a steering committee, but we're looking very strongly at incorporating and then becoming a nonprofit, because everything we do fits that. So I can say to healthcare that the newest thing coming out is UVA has partnered with Central Virginia Health Services and the Free Clinic here in Charlottesville to bring community health workers into rural areas. So on August the 8th from 2 to 4, or 4 to 6, 4 to 6, they will be at the farmer's market, just talking to people and doing some presentations on what they will be doing for the local community.
Okay.
As far as here, we were so fortunate through the pandemic that the town received CARES funding, and so they purchased masks and hand sanitizer and gave us the funding to do the HERE guide, which is medical things in and around, it's now like a 12-page little booklet. And so they bought everything, paid for everything, but we got it out into the communities. And we did really well with that.
Okay. More questions coming in for you. This is great. Patricia Higgins is giving you some props.
Wait, tell Patricia she has to call me.
Patricia, you need to call Nancy.
Where? My camera?
That's your camera. You can tell her.
Trish, we need to talk.
You need to talk, Patricia. Do you want to tell her what we need to talk about?
No, but we need to talk.
Patricia, call Nancy. Call Nancy, Patricia. So this is coming in from Jen Duggan. Jerry, it doesn't have to be young people. Some of us are in our 50s and work in technology. Thank you for holding me accountable there, Jen. We appreciate that. The reason I was alluding to the younger demographic is the studio micro apartments. And the smaller studio micro apartments often appeal more toward a younger person because they don't have kids or spouses or family. But you're absolutely right that anybody can work in tech, no matter the age. So this is from Steven, and Steven says, the idea for the town purchasing the tire plant, Jerry, is a really good one. Then action can be done. Dr. Hurt is not going to do anything, and Dr. Hurt is not getting any younger. That's from Steven. What are your thoughts? And Patricia says she's going to call you after the show.
Okay, good. That's accurate, though.
Yeah, it is accurate, because Dr. Hurt is probably not going to do anything, and he is not getting younger.
No.
So that is accurate. But municipalities don't often want to be in real estate ownership.
No. And
or development.
Correct. And I believe Matt had that role in, I think he came from Boone's Mill.
Okay.
And he actually had that role where he had to fill a building. And
That the municipality owned.
yes.
And he said it was brutal.
Yeah, it was a brewery he brought in.
Oh, he brought in a brewery.
Yes, he did.
Okay. Well, you could build like a brewery could be the anchor tenant of that tire plant.
And we have a brewery.
Yeah, and you have a brewery. And you love the brewery.
I love the brewery.
How about this question? This one's coming in from Jennifer Long. She says, is Scottsville or Scottsville leadership doing anything to recruit employers to their area, to the town? I guess that's economic development there.
That's economic development, and yes, Stuart Munson heads that up,
Okay.
and he and Matt work hand in hand on that. I just stopped going to meetings, so I can't answer that. I took a respite from meetings.
Okay. Jack says, ask Nancy to get CenturyLink to fix all of these outages.
And that's my answer.
Yeah. So are you having outages?
I don't. So downtown does.
Okay.
But I don't know why I never have an issue with broadband at my house. But downtown businesses do. And businesses that are outside of the town have major issues. So they're just waiting because Central Virginia Co-op,
Yeah.
I think that's right, they're putting in fiber to all of the houses because of the meters.
Right.
So they have a secondary company where they can sell broadband or fiber internet services at, my understanding, at a very reasonable rate.
This is a good one. This is from, I'm just going to call you Lonnie. I'm going to butcher your last name, Lonnie. So just Lonnie. And thank you for watching, Lonnie. The town of Scottsville, when recruiting companies to come to the area, should use their affordable housing as a reason to come. Would the town of Scottsville incentivize companies to come by offering tax breaks or development incentives?
Okay, so I can speak to the taxes.
Okay.
Scottsville does not have a real estate tax, whether it's residential or commercial. The county gets all of that money, and we just haven't thought it necessary to put that extra layer of tax burden on our residents.
Because Albemarle County is getting all that revenue.
Yes.
So what is the primary source of income for Scottsville town?
Meals tax.
Meals tax.
Come to Scottsville and eat.
Oh my gosh.
We
that's
do
the meals
extremely
tax.
well. And we put a cigarette tax in while I was on council a few years ago. And we started at 10 cents a pack, and we made $30,000 the first year. And so the next administrator bumped it up to 38 cents a pack. So that is one of the taxes that was doing really well, but now it's starting to go back a little bit.
Yeah, because less people are smoking cigarettes.
Or
what?
they're buying
Not
cheaper
in
cigarettes. Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think now,
Well, that's probably what it is.
but I think now counties in the state can put a tax on cigarettes. So it used to be, so you come to Scottsville, you pay a cigarette tax. You just go to Keene at Green Mountain Country Store, and there was no tax. But I think the county's probably going to take care of that.
More comments coming. I didn't know that about the real estate tax.
Yeah.
Because most municipalities, their main source of income is real estate tax. And you said that Scottsville, town of Scottsville, didn't want to tax the residents twice because they're already getting hit by Albemarle.
Right. Now, I know that Thomas has done a study on what other municipalities have done for that.
That are towns within a county?
Yes.
Okay.
And
There's not many of those.
no, there aren't. So I don't know. I don't remember the numbers, but they don't make an outrageous amount of money,
Got it.
in my opinion.
Ruth says across the bridge we do too with the internet outage.
It's awful in Buckingham.
Yeah. John McMahon.
Yes. Hi, John.
Scottsville is the best kept secret in the county. Great food, nice people, and a strong sense of community. As more people get priced out of CVille, expect Scottsville to continue to grow. I think, and I agree with that, John, and I think that's the bet that the Suttons are making here. The Suttons, who are really, 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 really smart guys, see that Scottsville could turn into almost like a Crozet or like a Belmont in Charlottesville.
Okay, I can speak to that.
Yeah.
Because this was a conversation I had at the brewery.
Okay.
And first of all, John is the owner of Skylar Greens.
Okay?
So when you go to Whole Foods, not Whole Foods, I know he's in Foods of All Nations.
Okay.
Try his stuff out.
Skylar Greens. There you
Skylar
go, John.
Greens.
You're getting a plug on the show. Well done, Nancy. She must host her own podcast and has broadcasting experience. Yes, she does. The James Exchange.
So the question to Scottsville being a Crozet or a Belmont.
Yeah.
It's closer to a Belmont.
Okay?
So the discussion I had at the brewery was that, Scottsville in a few years will be a Crozet. And I'm like, no.
You don't think so?
No, because Scottsville's a town. We're in charge of our planning.
Okay, I'm with you.
Crozet is not a town.
That's true.
The
Some want Crozet to be a town.
I know, because they want to control their growth.
The problem with being a town, though, is you have to cover all your overhead.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, which you know firsthand.
Yes, you
obviously.
do.
So you think it'll be more like a Belmont?
Absolutely. More, because we're more small community-like.
Belmont, I lived there in 2004, 2005, right out of college. And Belmont now is so different than what it was then and what it was, say, 30 years ago. It was this very blue-collar, working-class neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's just young professionals and rich folks that want to be within downtown Charlottesville. For Scottsville to get like Belmont, Scottsville's going to need a heck of a lot more rooftops.
Yes.
And is that going to happen?
Well, I think we've been talking about it.
Yeah.
I think probably within 10, 15 years, there'll be more housing opportunities in Scottsville. I'm just being careful.
Yeah, you're doing a good job. John says in Whole Foods, too.
Oh, good.
Patricia says, I'm so rarely browsing on Facebook, but today happened to be, and there you were. So good to see you and hear you speaking so strongly about Dear Scottsville. Could you please PM me and we'll connect?
Yes.
Okay. Any updates Jack wants to know on the Scottsville market?
Which Scottsville market, Jack?
Jack, are you talking the Scottsville Farmers Market? I would imagine he's talking about that. Correct us if we're wrong. Steve says nobody parades like Scottsville on the 4th of July.
It was fun. It wasn't the longest parade they've ever had, but it was so much fun. And the parade.
Steve walked the parade.
Yeah, well, really.
With his family, yeah.
So my house is right at the beginning of the parade.
Oh, nice.
So, and next year I'm partying in the front yard.
Okay.
And
you didn't do it this year?
No, because I was so busy having so much fun and meeting and greeting people and just doing what I do. But next year, anybody on my front lawn is going to be in my kazoo band.
Oh, you're starting a kazoo band?
It's going to be ad-libbed only during the 4th of July parade.
I hope there's some cold beers in that kazoo band.
There might be some refreshments somewhere on my property.
I love this lady. Jack, we covered this. We'll give you a quick recap. He's talking about the Tiger Fuel market.
Oh, so, also, the market, Tiger also bought Lucky's.
Right.
But they're keeping that more or less as the way it was when it was Lucky's. So that will stay the same, but I guess Jack is asking about when are they going to break ground uptown.
That's what I think he's saying.
I've heard possibly in a few months.
So you know.
In a few months.
News right there.
But a few months could be 2 years, so.
She's hedging right now. She's hedging her statement. A few months? That would be amazing.
That's
the talk?
That's the talk.
Okay, you might have just turned that into news right here with the people that are watching.
Well, it'll get the brothers Sutton, they'll get some phone calls.
Yeah, Taylor and Gordon, your phone's about to ring. Get ready. Oh, my gosh. More comments coming in for you here. When does live music return to Scottsville again?
We had it on the 4th of July. However, and it was a great setup, but people didn't come because we didn't have the fireworks. So I will get with Laura Malusi because I know more music is planned.
Okay. Ruth says, I think the new housing will start much more on the other side towards Buckingham due to the low cost of taxes. You agree with that? See,
I don't know.
Here's what I would say to that is, the further it gets away from Charlottesville, the potentially less appealing, unless you're able to keep work opportunities or create work opportunities in Scottsville. So the folks would, if they're working in Charlottesville, they're probably going to want to be on the Charlottesville side of Scottsville,
right,
or as close as possible.
Right.
It's almost like a chicken and an egg scenario. Mm-hmm. It's like, if you build it, they will come, but before you build it, you got to have jobs for them to come to. So you think it's the job thing first.
I think it is, but I think the housing will happen first.
You think the housing will happen over the jobs?
Yes.
So funny how that works out. We're an hour in. You're
really?
I know. It's because of you. You're so easy to chat with. So easy to chat with. I want to get the James Exchange out again, but are we missing anything that should be out there? Now you have, instead of 4 media outlets, you have 2 watching you now.
Oh, did we bore them?
No. I think they're
making
writing
phone
news
calls?
based on what we're saying here. Like the Fashion Square Mall story. We had a show this morning, guys, on this network, and we let folks know that Fashion Square Mall is now got a foreclosure notice hanging on its wall. And with the foreclosure notice, you have to advertise it in the newspaper that Fashion Square Mall, a week from today at 1 p.m., is going to the Albemarle County Courthouse steps and being auctioned off at foreclosure. I mean, the mall, did you ever think you'd see that?
No.
Have you been in that mall recently?
No.
They don't even have like lights on in part of the mall.
Wow. Yeah, it's just everybody left.
Everybody left. And now it's 18 acres, prime acreage, The assessed value is just over $16 million for that property. I hope somebody local buys it.
Yes, and the thing, you look at the new kind of malls, and they're outdoors.
Yeah, it's
you're
like
walking
the short
outdoors.
pump
Exactly.
malls. They're lifestyle centers.
Exactly.
Where you can live, work, play.
Yes.
Maybe that's what we need in Scottsville.
At the tire plant, we'll
That's
just
a
put up
tire
a
plant.
big outdoor mall.
Yeah, a live, work, play out there. Can we make that happen, Matt Lawless? Ray Cadell, welcome to the show. Anything else that you want to get out before I ask you about the James Exchange again?
No, I think,
We
just
covered
listen to it. Yeah, I mean, I really want to get information out about the people that live there. One of the best comments I've gotten back is someone said after my 4th of July, said, I don't know these people. And that's the point. People need to start talking and conversing again and just know one another.
Yeah, get out and talk
Get
to
out
people.
and, yeah, so that's part of my goal.
That's what you're doing a hell of a job.
Yeah.
Susan Iozano, she loves you.
Lozano.
Is that Lozano?
Yeah.
Sorry. Schlownick Lozano?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, she says, I love this. James Exchange is the podcast, all things Scottsville, part of Fluvanna.
Buckingham.
And northern Buckingham.
Northern Buckingham and Southern Albemarle.
A water park and pool for families would be amazing at the Fashion Square Mall spot. How about Shauna said that. How about the Fashion Square Mall spot? Kind of similar to the tire plant idea. Micro studio apartments, a flagship tenant like a brewery, a shared work environment like WeWork that has fiber internet. So you could go from your studio apartment to the office area, use the internet, and then when you're done, you could go to the brewery and get a beer, and then go have some dinner and listen to some live music. That would be amazing.
That would be amazing.
That's the dream.
Yes.
That is the dream. You are A+ people.
So are you.
I'm gonna keep. So I Facebook message Nancy every couple weeks. I'm like, Nancy, you want to come back on the show? You want to come back on the show? Yeah. John says he's also on Whole Foods, by the way.
Okay.
Also, and not just Foods of All Nations. Yes, John. Also like Dairy Market 2.0. That would crush it over there. I wish you the best with the podcast. We will keep plugging it. Can I reach out to you in a couple weeks?
Uh-huh.
Thank you, Nancy Gill. What are your weekend plans?
So my weekend plans are probably more unique
Ooh.
because I had some trees taken down
Okay.
on Wednesday. And part of the reason I got such a good deal is they cut them in millable lengths.
Okay.
So I'll have someone come out and mill them into boards. But these are 2 red oaks. So I've been out with my chainsaw cutting up the stuff that won't be milled into firewood.
Oh, get out of town!
I love my chainsaw.
You're using your chainsaw? What kind? Is it a steel?
It is.
You got a steel? What is it? 18-inch blade?
Nope, it's only a 16-inch blade.
Get out of town!
Yeah.
You're chainsawing?
Yeah, I called my brother probably 4 years ago and said, hey, do you have a chainsaw I can borrow? He goes, yeah, I have this one. And 10 minutes later, he calls me. He says, hey, do you know Scottsville Equipment? I go, yes. He goes, go over there and buy this chainsaw. And I'm like, okay.
And that's what you did?
I love it.
Does he live in Scottsville?
He lives in Goochland.
Okay, you're lucky to have your family in the area.
Yeah.
Guys, listen to the James Exchange, please. Go to Nancy's Facebook page and you can find it. Or you could just Google the James Exchange and it'll show up. And she does a hell of a job doing this. She's making news. Like literally finding news and important people to talk to that are stakeholders in the community and putting a microphone in front of them and say talk. And it's working. It's working.
It's working.
It's fun too.
Yeah, well, it's like this because there's more eye contact
Right.
and the microphone is just there.
You forget that it's here.
Exactly.
And like the cameras.
Yeah.
And then we went an hour and change. We were going to go 40 minutes here. That's because of Nancy Gill. We will be back here on Monday. Have a good weekend. Keep your dollars in the community, the local community. Be safe. Get out. Interact with people. It's nice outside. Enjoy outside. Get out of your house. Thank you for joining us on a Friday on the I Love CVille Show. For Nancy Gill and Judah Wickauer, my name is Jerry Miller. Have a good weekend. Take care. I love you. You're awesome. You're so fun to talk to. People really, really, really enjoy you, too. I didn't even get to half the comments on the show.